President's Trophy winning New York Rangers. Obviously, the parallel to 1994 did not bear out the way that this year's club wanted it to. They got all the way to the Eastern Conference Final before bowing out to a very good eventual Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. So that's the baseline for these New York Rangers, what we witnessed year one of Peter Laviolette. I want to start with you by asking, after free agency, are they better?
You know, didn't do a lot through free agency, which tells you a lot about, I think, management's approach to last season and what it looks like going forward. You know, really just a smattering of additions, and Riley Smith, Sam Carrick, Wenberg moves on, Gustafsson moves on. Didn't get a lot from Roslovic, but the net impact is a couple of things. I think this group feels that by virtue of the way they progressed over time, just allowing the space for some organic improvement from the inside, internally, Tone, is the right approach, the right recipe at this moment in time. And do pay attention, too. Philip Heedle's not available for much of last year. Wenberg moves on. Heedle, assuming health and ready to go start of the season, steps into probably the 3C role. So looking at it down the middle, Tone, Mika Zibanejad, Vincent Trocheck, Heedle slips into the Wenberg spot. You like the way that kind of shakes out. That's pretty formidable structure for this group. And, you know, for a team that has proven, if we don't like the results on the ice, we're quick to make a decision, be it a coaching change or otherwise. It tells you a lot about this organization's approach to where this team is at. They like what they see, content to let it improve, again, organically.
I like the way you put that, improvement from within. Alexis Lafreniere, Broadway Blue Shirts fans loved what they saw from him. The one-time first overall pick, there's pressure in a market like New York on a young man like that. He really seemed to flourish this year.
He really did. I mean, I thought a really solid regular season for him. The baseline was really consistent. He was virtually the same kind of player each and every night. And really in a, just looking at this roster overall in terms of the contribution you got during the postseason from individual players, Lafreniere's contribution, his presence, it just really stuck out, Tone. So I think you really like the way this young man is tracking, the way his development is progressing as an NHLer. Look for him, especially with the success, again, having moved the baseline higher, look for him to add 10 or 15% more to what you saw last year, in my estimation.
No matter how much pressure there is on this club from the outside, inside, we've always learned players, executives, coaches, they all want to win even more. In that case, when the news broke that Jacob Trouba might be traded, it was a shot across the bow, not just for the captain, but for the entire club. Your reaction? Yeah,
it's interesting. That's an attractive commodity, a Jacob Trouba, somebody that plays top-end minutes like that, very solid defensively, great leadership abilities. Obviously, that's why he wears the C for these blue shirts. But a guy that brings a real hardened edge to the game.
Real hardened.
He really does.
There we go.
And that's just a valued commodity league-wide. So the Rangers may be in this luxurious position if there is an interested acquiring team out there that's willing to return, be it picks or a player or a combination of both. If you've got the right return coming back the other way, this team might be in a position where they're trading from a position of strength, their D-core, to bolster their roster in some other way. Remains to be seen. How does that affect the roster, if that's part of what you're asking me? I'll answer that in the way that I typically answer questions like this. NHL players are pros. What happens on the ice stays on the ice. The business of individual players stays outside the room, and especially a guy like Trouba would never make that a distraction inside the room. So the business piece of this will carry on without impact to the roster and what the roster produces this year, in my estimation.
On the topic of the business of the NHL, I think about the chants echoing through MSG, Igor, Igor. I would pay the guy every possible cent. He's earned it. Yeah. He's amazing, particularly the way he came on strong. First half of the year, he wasn't happy with his game, but boy, did he find it, and he was as magnificent as we'd seen him in that Vezina year when they needed it most.
Which says a lot about a goaltender, a young goaltender, when you can self-correct mid-season like that, more so than any position. We analysts are fond of saying this. Playing this position effectively takes a whole lot of confidence and mental strength. Igor last season really demonstrated that. To be a mechanic to your own game, to your own psyche midstream, a difficult thing, a notable thing when you can do it successfully. And boy, did he have a postseason. He was brilliant. He really was. But he really has established, you know, with the exception of a blip here and there like we saw last year midway, everybody's prone to that, but he has shown that the consistency year to year is really solid, really remarkable. And this guy he's a mainstay. Bet on Shesterkin long term.
His career save percentage in the playoffs, .928.
Yeah.
Just wait for a second. Just think about that. .928 for his whole career. It's unbelievable how good he has been. Now, I want to move on to the coach.
Yeah.
One thing you can count on is that where Peter Laviolette goes, wins happen.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. And in year one, it happened. What do you expect in year two?
I expect a lot of the same. Lavi brings great structure. Wherever he takes the bench, there's a notable uptick in club performance. I think Lavi's challenge, let me say it this way, Tony. At the core of what Lavi does, he can bring a team together. He knows how to draw a group tighter, and that really can equate to wins over time. We've seen this with Laviolette coach teams. Tougher to do in an environment like the Rangers. Players are spread all over the tri-state area. You know, you rarely practice at MSG. You're in another building. Some players are on the island, other players are Manhattan, other players are elsewhere. So it's a difficult thing to be able to draw a group together when you're in your home environment. Lavi now having more opportunity to create that essential team building, I think that will really start to transmit through this roster as well. So watch for some of those intangibles to kind of pour through.
Do you think they're done for the preseason and go for that? Or is there more work to be done before they get to training camp?
Keeping the Trouba piece in mind, that piece of business, if you'll accept that, I think probably so. I think the urgency for teams to make a deal, one of the pressure points, flashpoints is always July 1. Having come and gone, there may be an opportunity there pre-start of the season. I suspect we're up and running. But again, this club has demonstrated they're pretty content to stand pat at this moment. That leaves me thinking I wouldn't expect a lot of moves from the Rangers given the way they're built.